Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. So today it will be a very quick video about how to build a video editing PC in 2022. So first of all, I already have a PC which I've been using for the last couple of years, and for the most part I've been very much satisfied with it. But also there are a couple of areas in which I feel that there can be a little bit of improvement, and I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I made a couple of years back. So this video is going to be really very helpful to you. So anyway, let's begin with this one. Now the first thing is the processor. So the processor that I've been using in my build is this Ryzen 5 3600. It's a third generation Ryzen processor, and for the most part I've been satisfied with this one. Now the biggest confusion that people have is like whether they should go with Ryzen or Intel. I would say both are equally good, but Premiere is a kind of application that demands more multi-core performance and also demands more threads, and Ryzen tends to deliver that performance very well. Also, the Ryzen processors are a little bit cheaper as compared to Intel, so that is also one of the reasons to go for the Ryzen, but you can go for Intel as well. The next important thing is the role of processor while you are doing video editing. So first of all, I would like to say that Premiere actually consumes a lot of CPU as compared to GPU, and whenever you're rendering a video, the CPU consumption in my PC is around 90+%. It's always between 90 and 100%. So I would say Premiere uses CPU a lot. So I would say if you're building a PC in 2022, at least go for this Ryzen 5 3600 or higher than this one. Now the next thing I want to talk about is RAM, but before RAM I want to talk about storage, because I think storage is something that is always ignored in a PC build, and I was also the one to ignore that. So first of all, when we talk about storage, your Premiere consumes a lot of storage in the form of backup files. It creates a backup of your audio, video, your auto saves, and different kind of transitions and different kind of graphics. So it is consuming a lot of storage, although you might not see anything on the hard disk. But if you go in the documents, Adobe, and this particular folder, you will see that these folders are actually pretty huge. So never ignore your storage. Now if you're building a PC and you already have an existing PC, you might want to move some components from the old PC and fit into the new one, which is quite good. But if you're having these kind of hard disk, magnetic type hard disk, so I would say these are good for nothing. These are very old ones, and you will be definitely running your PC extremely slow if you are using these. Next important option is that you go for an SSD like 250 or 500 GB and go for these kind of external hard drives. Now these kind of hard drives are good, but I would say that this is also a magnetic hard drive, and there are pretty a lot of limitations to these. So first of all, if your original files are stored on this one, and your PC will be accessing these files through a USB 3.0 interface in your PC. And I've always realized that whenever I'm rendering my videos or doing video editing, my PC tends to get a little slow while using this particular device. So I always have to copy the files from this one, paste it on my SSD, and further complete the video editing, and further I have to transfer the exported files back to this particular device to save my storage. Another big problem with this device is that it can malfunction at any point of time, because after all it's a magnetic hard disk, and this is what happened with me. So out of this 1 TB of storage, 800 GB of this was occupied, and 1 month back my this drive got faulty. I still have to submit it to the service center for data recovery. I don't know what they are going to say, but this is like one of the huge mistake that I made, and I don't want you to make the same mistake again. If you're having an SSD, an external SSD, then it's good. But if it's a magnetic type SSD, a magnetic type hard disk, I would say no. At this point, I want to introduce you two SSDs from Acer that was sent to me for a review. So one is this called the M.2 SSD. It is called the FA100, and the other one is this RE100, which comes in the 2.5-inch form factor, and this will get connected on your SATA port. Now initially when we're talking about processor, you have seen that I talked about the PCI Gen 4. This processor supports PCI Gen 4, and this particular M.2 SSD also supports both PCI Gen 3 and Gen 2 on M.2. So both of these hard disk and processor are well compatible. And when we talk about the FA100, is going to give you one of the best reading and writing speed. So the sequential reading speed is 3300 megabits per second, and the write speed is 2700. And when we talk about this kind of 2.5 form factor SSD, so it's 560 Mbps reading speed and 520 Mbps writing speed. So I would say this is the kind of SSD that you should be going for when you are using this kind of a processor, especially for video editing. Now I've been using and testing these SSDs for the last 1 month, and I've been pretty much satisfied with it. But there are a couple of things that you need to know if you're plugging these SSDs directly into your running PC. So first of all, just connect this one on the SATA port, this one on the SATA port, and this one directly into your motherboard. And after that, open your BIOS and see that if your hardware is actually getting detected by your computer. Most probably there are chances that it will be showing up in your BIOS, but it will not be showing up in your file explorer, and Windows will not be detecting it. So what you have to do is just simply open your disk management and then go into the disk allocation and allocate the disk as a system volume. That is all that you need to do, and they will be functioning very well. The next thing is the RAM, and the amount of RAM that I have in my PC is around 16 GB. So I'm using these 8 TB of 2 sticks, which combines to 16 GB, and these are from Corsair and tuned at around 3000 megahertz. For the most part, I've been satisfied with it, but now I realize that whenever I'm exporting my video, it's the CPU that it's always consuming around 90 to 100%, and the second thing is the RAM consumption, because RAM consumption is very high, and my like almost 15 GB out of 16 GB gets consumed whenever I'm exporting my video. So I would say that if you're building a PC, go for at least 16 GB, and my recommendation is go for 32 GB at least. The next thing is the graphics card. So people tend to work around a lot on the graphics card, and graphics card are pretty expensive. In fact, the price of the graphics card that I have in my PC is more than the price of the processor. So first of all, the graphics card I'm using is this NVIDIA 1660 Super, and at the time of assembling the PC, the price of graphics card was around 18,000, and I think the price was of processor was somewhere between 10 to 15,000. It was somewhere like that. So graphics card are pretty expensive, but practically when we talk about consumption of GPU when you are editing or exporting the video, I would say it's very less. My graphics card never touched 50%, and the consumption of graphics card is actually intermittent. Sometimes it works if you are using certain kind of transitions or certain kind of stabilizers in the video, then it's only then it's working, and for the rest part it's not working. Now I would not say it's not completely not working, because if you don't use the graphics card, your Premiere won't be able to export or edit the video. One of the advantage at this point with the Intel processors is that they have an integrated GPU. So even though you don't use a graphics card, they will try to give you some performance and you will be able to edit your video. But if you're using a Ryzen processor, you need to have a graphics card. And I would say that don't invest too much in the graphics card. Just go for anything like 1660 series, that is good, because I've never seen the consumption of my graphics card going too high. So that is something on which you can save little amount of money. Instead of graphics card, invest your money in the processor and RAM. The next important thing is the motherboard. Now you don't have to invest, I think, a lot in the motherboard. Just make sure that whatever processor and GPU, CPU and RAM you are using and your storage you are using are well compatible with your existing motherboard, and your motherboard should be a little bit future proof, because at some point of time you will be looking forward to upgrade your processor, and whatever the upgraded processor is, your motherboard should be able to handle that. So just keep that in mind. Now one more thing I want to show you here is that this processor supports PCI Gen 4. This SSD also supports PCI Gen 3 and Gen 4, and this motherboard also supports PCI Gen 3 and Gen 4. So you can say that all these three hardwares are well compatible with each other, and they can support the both reading and writing speed at a full pace. There isn't any kind of bottleneck, so that is something you have to keep in mind when you are building up your PC. If you have any queries, you can post them in the comment section below, and thank you once again Acer for sending those SSDs. Make sure to give a like to the video and subscribe to the channel, and see you in the next one. Take care.